The Common Defect Enumeration is a structured listing of software failure modes and root causes. Hundreds of thousands of software failures since 1962 have been analyzed for failure mode and root cause. Surprisingly, they trace down to approximately 200 root causes. There are several categories of failure modes. Faulty state management, for example. There are 15 CDEs related to faulty state management. These cover things like prohibited state transitions and stuck states. You can see the other categories there and the number of CDEs in each of those categories and a few examples of some of the many root causes in that category. The Common Defect Enumeration applies to every industry with software-intensive systems. For example, vehicles, oil and drilling, solar energy and nuclear energy, aviation, space, defense, medical devices and equipment, and semiconductor equipment, as well as any other industry that is software intensive. In summary, if a system flies, orbits, launches, floats, hovers, surveils, manufactures, transports, analyzes, secures, commands, controls, monitors, communicates, or makes decisions, it has software. And that software can have failures due to any of the common defect enumerations. The CDE has several applications. You can use it as checklists during requirements design and testing reviews. You can use it to support the software failure modes effect analysis and the fault tree analysis. The checklists. The table shows the different appropriate CDE that can be used while analyzing certain development artifacts. When analyzing the requirements and design as a collective whole, you can use the top-level CDE as a checklist. When analyzing the specific requirements for a particular feature or capability, you can use the capability level CDE. When analyzing specific shall statements, one at a time individually, you can use the specification level CDE. Let's look at the software failure modes effect analysis. You can combine the CDE with any FMEA framework. You identify one of the viewpoints, top level, capability level, specification level. You replace the failure mode column with the failure mode category. Replace the root cause and mechanism column with the CDE and description. Here's an example from the IEEE 1633 template for the specification level FMEA. Here's another example from the IEEE 1633 for the interface level FMEA. And here's an example from the draft SAE 1025 and the newly revised IEEE 1633, which covers the top level FMEA. The fault tree analysis can also make use of the CDEs. They are simply added to the fault tree whenever a software is a cause for the event. Typically, the CDEs are at the bottom of the tree. Here is an example. At the top of the tree is carbon monoxide poisoning. It can be caused by various things, of which a cracked heating element is one. A cracked heating element could be caused by insufficient airflow, which could be caused by several things, of which one of them is that the fan did not turn on. And with that event, it could be caused by two different things. One, TLSM1, prohibited state transition. The software could have commanded the fan to be off while the heating element is on. Another possibility is an exclusive OR, where the fan hardware failed, and at the same time, the software failed to detect that fan failure, TLEH1. You can see the CDEs are at the bottom of the tree. The CDE is continually updated. The enumerations never change, allowing you to reference them by number. The root causes of major failures are analyzed, and if the underlying root cause is not on the CDE, the list is updated. This is very similar to how the common weakness enumeration works, except that the CDE is the cause of failures that result in loss of mission and safety, while the CWE is vulnerability and security. If you identify a new and exciting root cause, you can submit them to this email address. The RecWiz software FMEA automates the common defect enumeration into the FMEA. You simply answer some questions about your system and software. It identifies which CDEs don't apply to your system. For example, if your system doesn't have a database, it can't have database-related failures. The software then identifies the relative likelihood of the applicable CDEs based on the type of software being developed, the design controls that you identify, and development and test practices you are employing. The software also provides recommendations for how to control, correct, mitigate, and test the CDEs. You can learn more about the common defect enumeration. It is covered in 3 of our classes: the software FMEA training, the software fault tree analysis training, and the testing for reliable software training. Each of these comes as virtual self-guided. You can take the class on your own time, or instructor-guided boot camp, which can be done either remotely or in person, and the DVD, which is useful for large groups. About the author. Anne-Marie Neufilter authored the Common Defect Enumeration, which is currently published on the DAU R&M Community Practice website. She's analyzed hundreds of thousands of software failures by root cause. She has 42 years of practical experience in software engineering, reliability, and safety. And she invented the first machine learning model to predict software defects before the code is written.